When an officer of the law is under investigation, they normally stay on the payroll but out of office. That means tens of thousands of your tax dollars are paying for state employees to just sit at home. Tonight, Oklahoma Impact Team digs deeper into the issue. Here's our Alex Cameron.
Sometimes they stay at home for a long time, and you're footing the bill. One trooper was on leave for more than a year and a half. People we talked with say this is simply unacceptable. Here's Oklahoma Impact's Amy Lester.
Another slap in the taxpayer's face in the state of Oklahoma.
State Auditor and Inspector Steve Burridge is fired up over some of the practices at the Department of Public Safety.
There needs to be a system in place so we just don't continue, to waste taxpayers' money.
Burridge's concerns began while doing this investigative audit. The Attorney General asked him to look into several allegations, including whether Trooper Joe Howard and mechanic Michael Lane stole state helicopter parts. They're seen on surveillance video removing parts from the Troop O hangar at Wiley Post. Burridge says DPS had no inventory records, so he couldn't tell what the department had or if anything went missing.
I was shocked. An entity that is in charge of ensuring safety and soundness of our citizens cannot even tell you where a piece of inventory went.
This played into what Attorney General Drew Edmondson ultimately decided. In a letter to DPS, the AG calls the activities of the trooper and mechanic highly suspect. Yet the letter says because of inadequate records and poor management, it is impossible to determine if any individual embezzled any of the equipment. As a result, they will not face criminal charges, which frustrates Steve Burridge.
With all due respect to everybody involved, and I am not an attorney, that I thought there was enough circumstantial evidence in the audit report for prosecution.
The trooper and mechanic's lawyer tells us that statement is reckless and that they didn't steal anything. He points out Trooper Howard was named Trooper of the Year after being one of the pilots during this rescue of a Kingfisher couple. Both the trooper and mechanic are back at work now as the internal investigation continues. The lack of a criminal charge isn't the only thing that frustrates the state auditor. He and another lawmaker are concerned about how long DPS employees stay on leave and how much we're paying them. We know Trooper Howard was on leave for nearly a year and 8 months. Earlier this month, 7 DPS employees were on admin leave, collecting nearly $33,000 a month.
As a taxpayer, it's obviously upsetting and infuriating, and something needs to be done, absolutely.
Representative Jason Murphy is on the House Public Safety Committee. He says the department's policy or state law needs to change to allow DPS to reach conclusions faster.
I suspect that in many of these cases you will find that internal policies were probably violated. If that's the case, it should be like any other job, where if you violate the laws or the policies that govern your job, you're out of a job.
DPS spokesperson Chris West says a criminal investigation can slow the process down.
The position of the agency is not to take any type of action because we don't want to contaminate the criminal investigation or the outcome it may have. We don't want to influence it.
Plus, troopers and many other state employees are protected by the Oklahoma merit system. A DPS lawyer tells us that makes it difficult to terminate anyone because in the past, the Oklahoma Merit Protection Commission's administrative law judges have forced DPS to take people back or reverse disciplinary action.
We feel like we have an obligation when things come to our attention to take care of it, and we know that there's been some cases where people have been off for extended periods of time, and these are just the processes at this point that this administration chooses to follow.
Still, to some, it appears DPS moves too slowly when trying to resolve internal problems, and you're paying the price. Do you think the current system they have in place is working?
It's not working very well. How many people you say they had on leave?
7.
7 people on how much a month?
$33,000.
$33,000 a month is ridiculous when the taxpayers are not getting anything in return.
Amy Lester, the Oklahoma Impact Team.
Since those involved in the helicopter parts investigation are no longer on leave, DPS currently has 5 people at home carrying a price tag of $24,000 a month. Some of them have been on leave for more than 6 months. For Oklahoma Impact, I'm Alex Cameron.
Oklahoma County District Attorney David Prater tells us he's willing to take a look at the helicopter parts investigation in light of the audit's findings. He passed the investigation to the AG's office since it involved multiple counties. OHP spokesperson Chris West says those involved could still face disciplinary action. We want to know if you agree with the Department of Public Safety's administrative leave policy. You can vote in our poll online at news9.com/Oklahoma.